Who are the best players with a double game week? Should we give the triple captainship to Erling Haaland? If you're on your free hit, I've put together a draft to help you out, and I've got an update on Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah. Here are my thoughts ahead of game week 25. Alright, I've used this graphic in a couple of my previous videos, but I think it summarises quite nicely who I think the pickable players are ahead of double game week 25, right? All of the players you see on screen, you could genuinely buy, in my opinion, ahead of game week 25. The green ones are the players that I'd say are close to essential, probably the best players from the teams, and the ones in orange I'd say are pickable, but probably there's some downside to them, right? To be honest, quite a lot of those players, there are downsides to them all, right? I don't think there's a perfect, bar maybe Erling Haaland. I don't think there's a perfect asset, right? Starting off with Liverpool, I've got Jota and Darwin as my favourite two. I think both of them, they probably play the most minutes of the Liverpool forwards. I mean, if there's a penalty awarded to Liverpool when Salah isn't on the pitch, I think one of these two will take it, and I think they'll do quite nicely for game week 25. Trent and Salah, I'll give an update about later on, but they could well be pickable. Luis Diaz I quite like. I just don't think he's going to be amongst the attacking returns as much as Jota and Darwin. Virgil van Dijk I think is going to play both games. He probably keeps one clean sheet, but I don't rate his chances of attacking returns. Yes, he can be dangerous in the opposition's box, but I mean, he's a centre-back at the end of the day. They don't score that many goals, so for that reason, I'm not sure I'd buy him. Like I said, I'll talk about Salah in a second. Alisson, you know, if we absolutely knew he was going to be back and playing, then I'd pick him because, you know, he's a double game week player. He's nailed on. But yeah, just don't know given he missed game week 24 at the moment. And Robertson is a good option. He's obviously come back from quite a lengthy injury, and Liverpool have a lot of fixtures over the next couple of weeks, right? And I wouldn't be surprised to see Robertson rotated in one of the two fixtures. And it's the same story with other defenders as well, but in particular in FPL, if a defender doesn't start, quite a lot of their upside disappears because you don't get the points for clean sheets. It's all right picking a midfielder that might not necessarily start because obviously they have a chance of scoring a goal at any point. Obviously, defenders, they're less likely to score a goal, and when they don't start, they don't keep the clean sheet points. So for me, it's really important if you're going to pick a double game week defender to pick one that's going to play both games. For Man City, I've gone for Haaland, De Bruyne and Foden. I think these three are probably the strongest three Man City assets. With the injuries they've got at the moment, I believe, is it Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Grealish, they're all injured at the moment. So, you know, there could be less rotation going on amongst that Man City front line, basically. And even if they do get benched, I do see minutes for both De Bruyne and Foden. I reckon Haaland plays every minute of both games, to be honest. Alvarez obviously looks really good as an option, but I just think with Haaland being back in the team, you can't guarantee he's going to play both games. I said, you know, similar with the Liverpool sort of defenders, really. I don't think Walker is guaranteed to play both games of the double, and you can really be punished if he doesn't start because, I mean, in reality, he's only really going to score clean sheet points. Ederson I like. He's actually in the free hit draft. I'll give that one away. Ederson I like. I just don't think if you're going to buy him with an actual transfer in FPL, I just don't think he's worth it because he only gets points for clean sheets. He rarely makes saves. I don't mind Rodri. I think of all the Man City outfield players, he is the most nailed in the team. But he doesn't get that many attacking returns. Yes, he picks up the odd goal here and there. I'd be surprised pretty much every season he finishes on around 10 to 15 attacking returns. So he could get one across the double game week. But I think you want a little bit more if you're picking a Man City player. For Luton, there are lots of players you could go for. For me personally, I think Morris is the only one I'd actually want to own. There's 5 others I've put there. Doty, Kaminsky, Barkley, Adebayo and Bell. Quite like Ross Barkley. I don't really rate Luton that much defensively. I think if you're on your free hit, you could probably pick them. But long term, even though they've got a double coming up in 28, right? I wouldn't want to have to rely on the Luton defence. And it's a similar story with Brentford. They do just seem to ship a lot of goals. So yes, their defenders have a double game week, but is it really worth picking them? And for that reason, I think the only real pickable Brentford asset for double game week 25 is Ivan Toney. They've, of course, got Liverpool and Man City as their two, right? So I don't see them keeping a single clean sheet in that run. Reguilon might get an attacking return, but I still think a good single game week defender such as like Gabriel or Saliba will do better. So for that reason, I think there's only Tony from Brentford that I pick. And in general, so looking at the total number of players for this double game week, I think are pickable. What's that? 5, 6, 7. 7 players that I would absolutely be looking at getting into my team. That says to me, you know, well, my opinion's formed already, right? I think it's a little bit of an overrated double game week. Not because of the quality of teams playing and the fixtures they have, just because of the doubts we have around some teams' minutes. And the fact that Liverpool blank in game week 26, it makes it quite difficult to hop on, you know, 3 of their options. I think if you tripled up on Liverpool, you're going to be a bit worried. I just thought I'd share a few accounts on Twitter, well now X, that would be useful to follow. So there are a few lineup prediction accounts that you can see there. Emma Jump the Wave will produce a Liverpool prediction, which is based upon the predictions of 20 Liverpool fans. And then Luke and Alex, you can see there, are the 2 best Twitter accounts I've found for predicting the Pep Guardiola lineup. Leaks-wise, you've got FPL MCFC and FPL Tony. They both leaked the Man City and Liverpool lineups before the Game Week 24 deadline, so keep your eyes peeled on them. Spinney and Klopp as well. They do sometimes, I don't know if it's he or she, they do sometimes report on Liverpool lineup early. They didn't do it for Game Week 24, so we'll see if they do it for 25, but they are reliable. If they do get the news, it is reliable. So I just thought I'd share basically some lineup predictors and some leak accounts because, you know, we all want to know what the Man City and Liverpool teams are going to be before buying their players, right? So hopefully that's useful. So the next topic I wanted to cover then is Erling Haaland worth triple captaining in Game Week 25? And before talking about the player himself, I think we need to look at the opportunities available to actually use the chip. Now, obviously, if you're planning to use a chip that isn't the triple captain in 25, then you're not going to be able to do it. So you have to look elsewhere for opportunities. The thing for me is I don't see many opportunities as good as a triple captain on Erling Haaland this week. Chelsea and Brentford on the whole as the double is not the best, but they are teams that are conceding a lot of goals, and I don't know, Man City could score 3 or 4 goals past anyone the way they're playing at the moment, right? Other options in Game Week 25, Tony, but he's got Man City and Liverpool. I mean, ultimately, I think he's a good player and a good asset, but I don't think you can bank on Liverpool and Man City being fixtures to triple captain someone on. Could go for a Liverpool asset. I don't really see an issue going for the likes of Darwin Núñez and Jota, to be honest, if you want to be different to those going for Haaland. And of course, if we get news that Mo Salah is fit and ready to go and likely to start against Brentford, I mean, he could be an option as well. So few opportunities to use it in 25, although with all things considered at the moment, Erling Haaland is fully fit, looking match sharp, and I think he's going to play both games for 90 minutes. I don't see a better option in 25 than him at the moment. Potentially Kevin De Bruyne as well, to be fair, with all the Man City injuries. The next opportunity we know right now is Game Week 28 as well. So that's a double for Luton and Bournemouth. Now, the standout there is Dominic Solanke. Sheffield United and Luton at home in Game Week 28. That seems to be the general Twitter or X narrative now as well. There's a couple of opportunities to use the chip, basically. You can use it on Haaland in 25 or Solanke in 28. Alright, so I thought it'd be worth just looking at the expected points data just for Game Week 25 so far to see if there is an outstanding pick. Now, I think the data shows what I'm saying, basically, is that Erling Haaland is expected to score the most points, right? 15.8 expected points. Tripled, that's pretty much 48 points, right? That's ridiculous. If you would get a triple captain and he scored 48 points, I think you'd take that, you know, you'd take that any day, right? Second place is Foden, Jota, Alvarez, and Diaz. Interestingly, Darwin Núñez doesn't appear on the list. Personally, I would say I'd put Haaland at number 1, Foden number 2, maybe, just because he'll probably get more goals than De Bruyne, who would be number 3. And then I'd go Jota and Darwin Núñez in that kind of order. So Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne, Jota, and Darwin would be my personal top 5 this week. But yeah, there's the draft hound data. Now, with Erling Haaland being the outstanding asset for Game Week 25, I just wanted to shed a bit more light on his data, basically, and some of the info that Draft Hound has on him, right? Looking at both the fixtures, he's got Chelsea and Brentford. Interestingly for Erling Haaland, both of those games are at home. And I'm pretty sure when you compare his record away from home to at home, it's almost chalk and cheese. Erling Haaland is so much more effective at the Etihad than he seems to be away from home. And yeah, both of these fixtures are at home for him. And you look at them in a bit more detail, Draft Hound give him a 63% chance of scoring against Chelsea, a 21% chance of an assist. Goal involvement, the combined odds are 71%. Brentford, he's got a 64% chance of scoring in that one, 22% chance of getting an assist. I just think, you know, given the opportunity to use it right now, right, is just, I think you have to take it. We'll go back to the fixtures a second, because I said Solanke in game week 29 is an opportunity, right? But who knows what happens between now and game week 28, right? I said 29 earlier. Who knows what happens between that time? If you're planning to use that triple captain on game week 28, right, and Solanke does his ACL in game week 25, 26 or 7, you're screwed. Because who do you triple captain that's competitive with Erling Haaland with the information you know now? That's kind of where my mind is on the situation, right? And yeah, a guy that's got, what's that? 71 and 72% chance in each game of being involved in a goal. Pretty incredible. And I don't think you should think too deeply about it. One other thing I would say as well is I'm not sure the triple captain is as strong of a chip as other people are saying. When you think of how impactful a wild card, a free hit or a bench boost could be. A bench boost, you get 4 players that could score you points, which arguably is more powerful than a triple captain. The free hit, you change your entire team for a game week, and the wild card, you change your entire team forever. So I think all of those chips are more powerful than the triple captain. And for that reason, I don't think you need to think too deeply about it. I would use it on Haaland. If you couldn't use your triple captain this week though, or were looking at just playing your free hit instead, I put together a little draft, and you can find a video going through the draft in a bit more detail on my channel if you wanted to, you know, listen to myself talk about it a bit more. I've gone for Ederson in goal, Doty, Saliba, Gabriel, Foden, Jota, Saka, Diaz, Haaland, Tony and Darwin. Couple of contentious things I think about this draft, but I'm still going to stand by my thoughts on it. I don't have Kevin De Bruyne. I think that the Liverpool midfielders can match his score, and Saka against Burnley alone, I think I really like him as an option, and I think Foden is a better option for Man City mids than Kevin De Bruyne. I like the opportunity of going for Ederson in goal because I think Man City could keep a couple of clean sheets in their 2 games. I really do think they've got the opportunity to keep a couple. Doty, I'm not massive on him. I just don't see a defender outside of Gabriel and Saliba that I like anymore. I've got triple Liverpool already, so I can't get Van Dijk. I like his chances of getting attacking returns. I've gone for Saliba and Gabriel ahead of any Man City defenders or Liverpool defenders, so you can see I've picked other players from those teams anyway. I just think these guys are they're nailed on. You know, any other defender apart from probably Virgil, you'd be worried about them starting. You know, all the Man City defenders, right, they've got a chance of being benched in either the first or second fixture of the double. Whereas Gabriel and Saliba, they've got Burnley. They could well keep a clean sheet in that game. And they're also, Arsenal are amazing from set pieces this season. I don't know what Arteta and his coaching staff have done, but they've scored, I think, 15 or 16 goals from set pieces this season. And Gabriel and Saliba are the target of pretty much all their set pieces. So not only do they have a good chance of keeping a clean sheet, they've got really high upside in terms of attacking returns, and you know they're going to start. That's famous last words, but that's just my thoughts for going for them. Haaland, Tony and Darwin up front, they don't really need much explanation. 3 strikers with the double game week. It makes sense to go for them. But yeah, if you're on your free hit, this is where I think you should go. Right, quick little update then on Trent Alexander-Arnold. The latest news we've got from Klopp, he unfortunately hasn't given anything away beyond this. He said that Trent was taken off because he felt something in his knee. It was the same area as last time. He's not doesn't think it's something serious, but because Trent felt a problem with his knee, he subbed him off. I found an account, FPL Physio on X, right, who I believe, obviously you can't confirm it, right? No disrespect to FPL Physio, but I believe he is a football club physiotherapist, right? And he gave some logic as to how many minutes Trent is likely to get in game week 25 based on this. So he's saying if it's a minor setback with a knee injury, he expects him to just be out of the double game week completely, right? Why would you? Trent is probably, bar Salah, Liverpool's best player. So he's of the view, and I'm of the view too, to be fair, I agree with this, that why would you risk Trent for 2 games of a double that are probably winnable without him, and then screw him up for the cup final and the remainder of the season when they're on a title charge, right? That logic for me sits quite true. I don't think Klopp is going to risk him at all in game week 25. If he does risk him, he might come off the bench. I definitely don't expect him to start both. So for that reason, if I was on Trent already, I think I'd be selling him, particularly because he has a blank in 26. Now, Mo Salah has been pictured back in training with Liverpool. That was doing the rounds on X yesterday. What does that mean for FPL? Well, I don't think we really know, to be honest. He had a hamstring injury, and I would say the footage that has been shared on Twitter is a bit coy. It says he's back in full training, but there was no footage of him sprinting, or actually, I didn't see any of him kicking a ball either. And coming back from a hamstring injury, the one thing you can't do until you're fully fit is do an absolute max effort sprint, because I've had hamstring injuries in the past, and that's what causes them. You know, the likes of Mickey van der Ven, the quick Tottenham defender, he does his hamstring. Michael Owen's career was ruined once he did his hamstring as a sprinter. So yeah, I'm just not sure of how many minutes he's going to get in game week 25. Obviously, we wait for the Klopp press conference. If he says Mo Salah's back and he's ready to start, then that confirms it. But I don't think he is. I think the most likely scenario, he gets benched in one and starts the other. That's my view. I think he'd be fit enough to go on the bench for the first one and then fit enough to start another. And then, of course, he's got the cup final the weekend after. So all those things to consider, his minutes are going to be managed. Even if he starts one of the games of the double, I think he could get subbed off early, because a hamstring injury is something you really want to look after. Now, Mo Salah's, he doesn't look like an old football player, but he's in his 30s now. Can't remember his exact age, but he's in his 30s, which is the age where, you know, the physical peak of footballers starts to drop off a little bit. So they'll particularly with injuries, so they'll definitely want to manage him. And I just don't think he's worth touching for game week 25. If you haven't sold him and have him sitting in your team already, I think it's a good opportunity to give him a go. But if you don't have him and are looking to buy him, I don't think it's worth it. You might have to rip up your entire team to get him with how expensive he is. And then he doesn't play in game week 26. So with all those things combined, I don't think he's worth buying, and I don't think he's worth selling. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. I tried to think in my mind what the hot topics would be for this game week. There's so much going on in the world of FPL at the moment. I've hopefully hit the spot with this video for you. And if you enjoyed it, please leave me a like rating, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there if you want to see more content from me. And if you do, I'll catch you in my next video.